Today's theme, kitchen. The word of the day is functional. I'll be sharing 3 functional DIYs and 3 organizational tips that will keep your kitchen functional. Let's go. We are going to start with a DIY that's going to help us contain those shopping lists, grocery lists, even a to-do list. Let's bring some order to that chaos. For this first practical DIY, you want to start with a piece of wood. Now this is a piece of scrap wood. It is a 1x6 that I had in my garage, but you could pick up pieces of wood from Dollar Tree for $1.25 or even from the craft store when they are 50% off, or you could go to the hardware store and pick up some wood there as well. I decided that I'm going to paint this piece of wood, but your options are to leave it natural, to paint it, or to stain it. So the 1x6 is painted. Now this one is cut to 13.5 inches long. So if you're wondering what the measurement on that, that's what it is. And now we've got to decide our paper placement. So the cheap version of this would be to grab some craft paper from Dollar Tree in this roll and just make your paper roll out of that. You can also pick up these craft rolls. I got this one on Amazon, but you can buy them at Walmart and I believe Target and Office Max. So lots of options to purchase a craft roll. Now we need to get something to put this paper on, and I'm going to be using a round dowel that I cut to 4.25 inches long. Now, for the dowel with the paper on it, you're going to need to grab 2 of these eye hooks that you are going to screw directly into the board. I just screwed them in by hand. It was really easy. But we're also going to need 2 more pieces of dowel cut to that same length, the 4.75 inches long. Now, I am using a square dowel rod because I had that on hand, but you could use the round ones from Dollar Tree as well. Then you need to cut 4 little tiny nubs, little spacers is what they are, because we are going to end up attaching those 4 little pieces to the dowel rods, and what that's going to allow is for the paper to feed through it. If they were completely flat against the board, it would cause a little bit of a trouble. Now we need to assemble the dowels that we just cut, and I'm just going to use hot glue, and we're just gluing the little bitty nubbies, whatever you want to call those things, to the square dowels. And again, honestly, you could do it with the round. I'm telling you, just cut little round nubbies and glue it to the round dowel rod. So you don't need the square. You can use the round dowel rods from Dollar Tree. Hot glue those together, and then I'm going to grab the black paint and paint the round dowel along with the 2 that I just assembled with that paint. Now for this, I created a decal using my CRICUT Maker 3 that says Costco. So you saw how the lists were kind of thrown in the drawer. It wasn't visible. And by putting this in my pantry, I will show you guys where I'm going to hang it up. This will just keep it accessible. It'll keep people's eyeballs on it. So if items get put on there that I know we kind of need sooner than later, I can constantly, see it and kind of check in with the list. So once the decal was on there, I needed to figure out where my eye hooks were going to go. And I ended up deciding about a 1/2 inch, just a rough estimate. And it's kind of up to you, but you want to make sure that when you put the dowel rod through that there is a little bit of overlap. Don't, put it to where the dowel rod is just right at the edge of those eye hooks, because it'll fall out and it'll cause a big, huge mess. So once you've got your paper on there, then we're ready to attach those 2 other parts. And now you kind of know why they had those little nubbies. It's so that you can pull the paper through. You can see here, you'll be able to pull it and lift it up. If you put it just flat against the board, you're not really going to be able to do that. So you definitely need something that's a little bit lifted so that you can feed the paper through. I am not using hot glue to attach these because there is going to be a little bit of pressure on them, especially at the bottom one as you pull to rip off the list. So I will be using wood glue to attach these, and then I'm going to put some heavy items on it so that it'll set up overnight. Now it's time to hang this up, and I always use these 3M Command Velcro hanging strips. That's just my choice to hang up pictures. And I just slap 2 of those on the back, put it in my pantry, just like that, easy to go. And then you can just start writing on the list. Now you could also make a little Velcro attached pin on here if you wanted to, and have that right there ready to go. As far as writing on the list, if you want to save paper, you can write from the bottom up if you want to, so that you're not wasting paper. But this rips off really easily, clean tear, and you are ready to go shopping. Now take a look at this functional piece. It is a menu board, but I'm going to show you how you can make this multi-seasonal and get it decorated for all the different seasons while you use it. So stick with me. The first step here is to grab yourself a frame. Dollar Tree has tons of frames that you can pick up for $1.25. I've seen them as large as 11 by 14, but I did jot over to Hobby Lobby and went to their 75% off and found a 12 by 16 frame that I think would work perfect for this project. I'm going to be using my CRICUT Maker 3, which is a smart cutting machine that allows you to create personalized projects using hundreds of different materials. I needed to jump into CRICUT Design Space. Now this is the software program that comes with your CRICUT, and the nice thing about this is you can type in a word that has to do with your project just to kind of get you going. So I typed in the word menu, and what will happen is the first section, it'll show all the different images that CRICUT Design Space offers related to that word. Then it will show you CRICUT projects that are created that you can use, and then it will show you community projects that are projects created by users like you and me that you can also use as well, as long as they have set it to share with you. Once you figured that out and kind of looked through that, I started a new project, and when I work with signs, I like to make a template of my sign so that I know exactly how much workspace I have. Now the frame is 12 by 16, but my actual working space was an 11.5 by 15.5. So I made a rectangle that would give me that dimension. And then I was ready to start working on my text. So I did go into the images and search around. I typed in menu, kind of looked around, found something that I kind of liked, and decided to put that in there. And then I decided, I kind of shifted my way I was going. I was going to type out the whole word, but then I decided I just wanted to do circles with the first letter of each day of the week. So I created my file. Now, the nice thing about this CRICUT Design Space is you can go in, there are tons of fonts that you can use, and you can size it however you like. So once I got all of my image where I needed it to go, I was ready to send it to my machine and get it cut. And for my decals, I am using the Smart Vinyl. This is really nice because you can feed it directly into the machine and you don't have to put it on a mat. Now with the projects all cut out, I just needed to weed it and get all the extra vinyl off, which is another perk to the Smart Vinyl. It is really easy to weed, which just means getting rid of all that extra vinyl that you don't need. And once that was done, I was ready to prep my frame. Now for that, anytime that I use or I'm applying a vinyl decal or something to glass or ceramic, I always clean it with rubbing alcohol. I just put mine in this spray bottle that I got on Amazon, put a little decal on it, and I wipe it down really, really good with that just to make sure it's clean and free of debris. Now, as far as putting my decal down, I just kind of winged it. It wasn't too terribly tricky to get it lined up and placed down. So I just stuck it down. It stuck really, really well. And I just peeled off the transfer tape, and then that part was ready to go. Now here is where I want to show you how you can make this a multi-seasonal piece. So you want to pop out the back of the frame, and with that little photo insert of the family in there, you can flip that over to the back, and most of the time it'll be white, and you can stick that back in there and then have a white background if you'd like. That's one option. Another option is to leave it clear. Don't put it back on there. And I'm going to show you, if you choose to do the option, another step that you need to do. But to make it multi-seasonal, pick yourself up scrapbook paper and put scrapbook paper inside the frame, and that will change it throughout the seasons. Now you could even go in and just add some cut out pieces of scrapbook paper if you wanted just here and there. You could add that. Lots of options, but change it out. I picked up some really fun scrapbook pieces of paper, the holiday ones for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you could do Valentine's Day. I mean, you could do pretty much any holiday that you want. Now, if you don't want to put the scrapbook paper in the back of it and you kind of like that whole clear option, then you definitely need to secure your piece of glass. Now, this frame actually wasn't glass, it was plastic. I didn't realize that till I started taking it apart, but same difference. You can still write on it with the dry erase marker, same thing. And you want to secure that glass in there if you are going to just let the clear side kind of be up against your wall. So to do that, I'm just using some of the Gorilla Glue clear adhesive. I'm not going to use hot glue, and that's what you need to do to secure that. I hung mine up again using those 3M picture hanging strips, and just use a dry erase marker on this, or you could even use a Sharpie and just rub that off with some rubbing alcohol. So totally your option of how you put the text up there. Leave it clear, put the white paper in, or again, you can add scrapbook paper for that seasonal look. Now this piece is a thrift piece that I found for $4.99. It was solid wood, had these little, well, I say little, they're very sturdy wooden drawers. And I knew that it could be something used not only as an organizational piece in my kitchen, but for different events. I have some events coming up and I knew exactly what I wanted to use this for, but you definitely could customize this for different holidays, and I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. So I sanded it down and I started to paint the actual outside frame of this white, but I changed my mind. I did not like it. Luckily, I didn't get too far, and I sanded all that off. So I decided that the front of the drawers, I wanted to paint those some fun colors. And what you could do here is, if you find something like this, or even if you create one out of Dollar Tree supplies, which I do believe I can figure out a way to make one out of Dollar Tree supplies. If you want that video, comment down below, let me know. But you could leave them natural color, and then to customize them for the different seasons, put holiday contact paper on there on the front of the drawers. You could also do scrapbook paper and just use some of that Gorilla Glue, the repositionable spray that's sturdy, but yet you can still peel it off. You could use that. So you definitely could use it for many different things. I wanted to use it as kind of a piece to use with parties and entertaining, but you could use it in your pantry to hold snacks and things like that as well. So once all of the drawers were all painted, I needed to decide how I wanted to make my labels. So as you can see, for the labels, I ended up taking a piece of construction paper that I let my Cricut cut out the size that I need. And I had this really pretty gold vinyl that I wanted to use for my labels. So I decided, instead of using markers or handwriting or letting the Cricut even do the writing, that I really wanted to put this gold vinyl. You'll notice right there, look, I didn't catch that the eye pulled off too. So I ended up having to like make a little eye to stick in there, but that's okay. So I made a bunch of candy labels, and what I'm making is like a little candy bar. And the trick about putting vinyl on paper, so when I do that, I take my my transfer tape, and when I pull it off the back, I kind of dab it on my hand first, and then I stick it to the vinyl and transfer it over, and then that way it won't rip your paper. So once I got all of the decals all weeded out, I attached them to my little cardstock labels that I made. For the label holders, I had these in my stash, and I spray painted them gold, and then I decided I just need to screw these in. I wasn't going to try to measure and get them all in the right spot. I just decided to kind of eyeball it. And so I screwed all these in and then stuck my labels in there. And then my last step was to fill up all the little candy slots in this serving container. Now, like I said, I have several events that I'm going to be using this for, but you could do these holiday focused. You could make one for fall and Christmas that maybe it's a hot cocoa bar fixings or coffee bar fixing or s'mores fixings. So there's a lot of options. You could also, next to it, pick up some things from Dollar Tree like these little dishes or some little bags and put some scoops. And then that way, people who attend your party, they can scoop it out and make their own little candy dishes. And now I'm going to share my top 3 organizational tips to keep your kitchen functional, along with the functional decor we just made. So who has a cabinet like this where their mugs are just stacked everywhere, and if you barely brush against the mug, they fall? I know we do. We struggle with that every day. So I found these mug stackers. I absolutely love these things. All you have to do is just take a mug, place one of these on top of it, take your second mug and set that on top of that, and then you just squeeze it in so that it will secure and hold that mug in place. And that's it. It keeps it so secure. It gives you extra room in your cabinet. Maybe you aren't a mug stacker and you just have all the mugs in a single layer. This will gain more space in your cabinet. Highly recommend these stackers. And now let's move on to the endless supply of grocery sacks that I'm sure we all have from all the kinds of different stores. I've got this grocery sack organizer. I have it inside of my pantry, and what's nice is you can cram so many bags up there. I mean, you just jam them in there. You don't have to like neatly place them. It's literally just shove them in there. And then when you need one of the bags, you simply just pull from the bottom and voila, you've got yourself a bag. And my final functional organizational tip here is this Ziploc bag container sorter, whatever you want to call it. It is so nice to not have the boxes stacked with baggies falling out. It keeps it all neat and organized, and I can see when I'm about to run out of bags. And there you have it, 3 functional kitchen DIYs and 3 organizational tips that keeps your kitchen functional. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these projects was your favorite. Also let me know, do you have a great organizational tip for the kitchen? I'd love to read all about that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Here are some more videos you might enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.